didn't bring mine this time.
They're off-brand, yeah. Got it. So to look.
I did it, but then
I didn't return this week.
I think we have a good relationship with her. We should have a look at that.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're here. It's January 9th, 2020, and we're here for a regular Newmarket School Board meeting. We're going to, with the crowd's indulgent, we're going to move a couple of things around on the agenda tonight. We'll get to public comment pretty quickly, but there are a couple of groups here that we wanted to present first so they can get their business done and they can go if they want to. So with that, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so, Susan, do you want to present on the para contract? Or do you want to?
What do you want me to say?
Why don't you present on approval for the para contract?
All right, so we're just looking for a nomination?
Yeah, we'll just explain what we've done. We've come to an agreement.
All right. Yes.
So the first item we're going to discuss this evening, gladly, and hello, can you hear me? That means on.
How many go now?
Here?
Is it better?
Okay. Well, it is with great pleasure that we're here tonight before you with the paraprofessional and tutor group, the supports group that we have been negotiating with now for the past several months. And just before the holiday, we reached an agreement that we all feel is fair and provides them with the protection and the compensation that they so deserve. So we're here tonight to review that contract. The paraprofessional and tutor group ratified the contract last week, right? Last Friday. And so now, in turn, the board is here tonight with great excitement to be able to take action on that item, after which we will be moving forward with the warrant article to bring before town meeting.
So yeah, I just want to thank Elizabeth McKinney and Dr. Givens and the whole paraprofessional team. I mean, it took a while this fall to get there, but I think it was good, and I think we wound up in a great place. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the district. We greatly value your work, and thanks for hanging in there and negotiating with us in good faith. And it was the first time around, so maybe it'll be better and easier next time. So, but thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
No, you voted on it. Your team voted on January 2nd. Everybody was in agreement. Good to hear.
Okay, if there's no further comment from the board, I would seek a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the paraprofessionals.
So moved.
Second?
Any further comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right. The other item we wanted to move up on the agenda is the overnight field trip for Newmarket High School students to the Model UN competition in New York. So if the presenters want to come up, you can come right up to the table. We can get more chairs for you if you need them, or you can stand, it's up to you.
Good evening. We are representing Newmarket High School's Model United Nations delegation and are here to give a brief overview of our upcoming overnight conference. Model UN has been a club at Newmarket for 3 years now. Model UN is an educational simulation where students learn about diplomacy, international relations, and the United Nations. Model UN teaches delegates to engage debating in the inner workings of foreign policy and human rights. From researching position problems facing our global community, such as chemical weapons, climate change, refugees, and displaced persons, as well as child labor, we learn to collaborate with people and engage globally. It is here where Model UN is so impactful, as it allows participants to see and represent multiple viewpoints and help to find the best solutions for all parties.
We've attended 3 different conferences in the past, with our big one last year being a 4-day conference in Philadelphia. Delegates Taylor Kinnison and Mohammed Hajev from our delegation representing Venezuela for the Human Rights Committee took home the Best Delegate Award, and our entire team won the Best Small School Award.
This year, we are very excited about our upcoming trip to the National Model United Nations Conference in New York City. We are attending the largest high school conference in the world, where participants from more than 80 countries and 300 schools will be there. This conference is very special as students attend the opening and closing ceremonies at the UN, the General Embassy Chamber, where actual diplomats convene every year. We will be representing the United Republic of Tanzania this year on issues ranging from counterterrorism to human rights. We will also be visiting the permanent mission of the United Republic of Tanzania, where we will meet the Tanzanian ambassador to the United Nations.
New York Model UN will take place on March 4th to March 7th, 2020. We will be leaving for Newmarket High School at 7 a.m. on March 4th, returning around 9 p.m. on Saturday, March 7th.
Our hotel will be the New York Hilton Midtown for the duration of the conference. The conference takes place at the hotel and the United Nations. Students will be traveling in a 15-passenger van approximately 5 hours each way. Accompanying us on our trip will be Mr. McDonald, the current,
One of our advisors.
one of our advisors and the current Mandarin teacher, and Dawn Kennison, a parent member of the team. Who will be serving as the female chaperone.
Great. And I understand Mr. Webb is involved too?
Yeah, Mr. Webb's also our other head advisor, but they switch spots for every conference.
Okay. And so I just want to thank Mr. McDonald and Mr. Webb because they take their time over vacation to do this. Also, I know Linda Lyons out there someplace. She volunteers a lot of her time too and really got the program going. So here in Newmarket 3 years ago. So thanks a lot for that. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Sounds like a great opportunity, especially being at the UN and meeting the ambassador and everything. So I hope you guys will come back and tell us about your trip.
Definitely will. Love to hear about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Keep, If there's no further comment, can I entertain a motion to approve the overnight field trip to New York from all UN to?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. It is approved. Okay, we're gonna move on now to public comment. And obviously, a lot of folks want to say stuff tonight. We want to hear from everybody. We're gonna go over a few ground rules like we did last time. The public comment rules are in the materials tonight. They're in our packet. We have a policy on these rules. As I mentioned last time, we welcome comments on matters that are on the agenda. We generally like to try to keep it to about 3 minutes each. I'm not gonna have my stopwatch running, but let's be respectful of everybody's time so everybody can get a chance to say what they'd like to. Above all, I know that passions are running high, and people have strong feelings right now. I get it. But let's set a good example here tonight. Let's have one speaker at a time come up. Let's listen to that speaker. Let's be respectful. Let's not be making comments while somebody's trying to get their points across. And all set?
Please speak directly to the mic so everyone can hear you.
Okay, thank you. With that in mind, I'd welcome up whoever would like to speak first. Could you, one more little thing, could you just state your name and your address so we can get it for the minutes? Thank you.
Ute Höhner, 271 Ashbom Road. I'm commenting on agenda item 2D, petition against the superintendent. That sounds mean, but anyway, I wanted to explain why I signed the petition. If I had not signed the no confidence petition 3 weeks ago, I would certainly have done it today after I received your public statement regarding Mr. Mazzoni's future this morning. And please know that I don't want anybody to lose their jobs, ever. I mean, that is something that is very important to me. I know how important it is for everybody to keep their jobs. But your statement shows to me that you have shown no respect at all for the parents and students of Newmarket, as you do not care to listen to our concerns. It also proves two things. First, and most importantly, that Mr. Mazzoni did not do anything that would have justified to place him on administrative leave. Secondly, it proves to me that you, Dr. Givens, think that the parents and students and also the taxpayers in this little town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, are not intelligent enough to understand what is happening here, and that we are not wise enough to see the bigger picture, and therefore should just accept the decisions made by you and believe that the matter is resolved without any further explanation. But we are, and we are ready to continue our fight so that the best educator that I have ever met can continue to do good for our students and our town as the principal of our school. And we care, and we do not want Mr. Mazzoni's career and bright future be ruined, not just for our children's sake, but for him personally. On a personal note, and yes, it's still regarding agenda item 2D, I cannot believe that you are depriving us parents and students of the class of 2020 of Mr. Mazzoni handing the high school diplomas this June to all those kids, my son being one of them. Mr. Mazzoni had supported, challenged, disciplined, and cheered for over the last years during construction noise and parking issues, dramatic losses, both personal and athletic, great achievements, and championships. I signed the petition as this is more than just about Mr. Mazzoni. It's about the well-being of our students and staff. Thank you.
Hi there, Nicole Roy, 20 Mockingbird Lane, Newmarket. Members of the school board, thank you for the opportunity to stand or sit before you to express my reasons for signing the petition requesting the removal of Dr. Givens as a result of my lack of confidence in her ability to effectively lead this school district. I do not find pleasure in sitting here before you today in this matter. When I stood before you the last time, or the first time, I was hopeful that Dr. Givens would take a step back and reconsider her approach. That she would first and foremost inform Mr. Mazzoni in a timely manner why he was placed on leave, and then give him the opportunity to present his side of the story. And in doing so, Dr. Givens would realize that maybe there was a better way. Unfortunately, Dr. Givens chose to continue down the path, as she was determined to create as much disruption as possible, or at least that's what it felt like. We were asked by members of the school board to trust the process, and this is where things started to fall apart for me. It is fair to ask people to trust a process when the process is known. To ask people to trust blindly requires a very strong foundation of trust in the first place. Nothing that Dr. Givens has done up to this point has earned my trust, and it seems the trust of many members of our community. I can't trust a person leading a process who sends emails describing business as usual at our schools. She either is intentionally communicating a false reality, or she is completely out of touch with the energy of the school environment that our kids, teachers, and parents walk into every day. Sorry. I've had several teachers and paras, some of who have had no previous relationships with, reach out to me to share their level of discomfort. They are fearful to speak out for fear of retaliation. They describe the current work environment in these terms. The environment is toxic. It does not feel safe here. I do not know who to talk to. All the trust has been eroded. I'm afraid to speak up. I can't afford to lose my job. In addition, over the period of time the principal has been out, my children have come home with stories of multiple physical altercations happening at the school and have witnessed and been themselves on the receiving end of bullying. I do not fault those who are trying to run the school the best they can under the circumstances. I can't help but believe that those things would not have come to pass, and the reason that they have in large part is because Mr. Mazzoni's absence. This is not business as usual. A courageous leader looks to unite and not divide, looks to create transparency and not secrecy. A courageous leader pursues truth with integrity and is willing to admit when they are wrong. A courageous leader creates an environment of psychological safety, not one where people are left to feel helpless and that their voice does not matter. I have witnessed none of the qualities from the current superintendent, and for that reason, I signed the petition, as it had become painfully evident that Dr. Givens had no interest in finding a better way, and that is not the type of leader who invokes confidence in the community or here in Newmarket or any other. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello.
Hello.
Jen Policiano, 2 Pond Street. I went through the school system here and have lived here for most of my life. I chose to raise my family here because I wanted my daughters to go to a school where they weren't a number, where their administration knew them and looked out for them. Unfortunately, as my youngest daughter goes into the final stretch of her time here as a student, the opposite of what I had hoped for has become the reality. An entire administration that doesn't know our kids. A new interim principal, a new guidance counselor, and a new assistant principal. I understand that there are times when circumstances beyond the control of the SAU force such changes. This is not one of those times. The complete disruption of our school has come as a result of what exactly? The more I learn, the more solid my conclusion that this disruption was created first by our former superintendent who failed to execute or perform the duties of her role as she should have. And second, because of the highly questionable judgment of the current superintendent, Dr. Givens, when she decided to pursue the removal of our principal, the glue that has held this school together. It's not clear to me why she made this decision, but given the communication we received this morning, it seems she believed him to be more fit to facilitate the rest of the construction project than to do what he does best, which is to work with, guide, and support our children day in and day out. In 5 short months, she has come into this town and bulldozed everything that this community has worked so hard to repair after the divide that started with our new school debate many years ago. How opportunistic to put out a letter 12 hours before the school board meeting where a vote of no confidence petition is being presented to clarify any misunderstandings and how both sides have acted in good faith. Well, we all know that this is not what Principal Mazzoni wanted. He wants to be with our children, the kids who respect him, who look to him for guidance and see him as a protector while at school. Do not let the smoke and mirrors fool you. We are smarter than that. There is one role that Mr. Mazzoni is far more qualified to fill, and that is being our principal. Let's all think about this. If Principal Mazzoni did anything at all that put our kids in harm's way, would he be allowed back in the building? Never mind overlooking the project that requires him to be around our children. I would like to reference the final paragraph in the letter Superintendent Givens sent this morning. Quote, "We regret any confusion that exists and any uncertainty this situation has created for members of the public, staff, and students. The superintendent, school board, and Mr. Mazzoni will continue to work together in the best interest of our students." One part of that last statement that I am 100% sure of. Mr. Mazzoni will, as he always has, continue to do what is in the best interest of our students. Which brings me back to my original comment. I, among many others, have no confidence in the ability of Superintendent Givens to use good and sound judgment when it comes to the matters affecting our students and our community. That is one of the reasons I have signed the petition expressing my vote of no confidence. Thank you for your time.
My name is Felix Honer. I live 271 Ashwamp Road. I'd like to talk about 2E, student comment. I've heard a lot on Facebook, everywhere, that parents don't believe that it's, or not parents, people in the community don't believe it's affecting students in school. I'd like to give an example. This morning in English class, A block, we get the email from various sources. We didn't get the email, obviously, but we got it from our parents. We got it from friends that there's been a statement released. We read it. English class essentially stops, right? No learning is being conducted. We're all focused on the fact that everything has been resolved. How can we believe everything is resolved if we're still mad about it, if we're still sitting here fighting for our principal? How can we be sure that everything is resolved about his leave of absence if he's not back, if he's not our principal anymore? If everything was surely resolved, there would be no problem. But there is a problem. We surely have some type of record here for Newmarket student count, town count. I think it's really sad to see the superintendent put out such a statement and say that everything is resolved, because everything is not resolved. Nothing's resolved. To put a principal in a position as a construction manager, really, he's an educator. Let's be real. He's the best educator we have. And I just want to ask you guys, how is everything resolved if nothing's resolved? Thank you.
My name is Liz Doust. I live at 255 Wadley Falls Road, and I'd like to speak to the... First of all, I'll say I got up here with a very heavy heart and great apprehension. My husband works at the high school. I've been teaching for 26 years. I have my master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and I'm currently in a certificate of advanced graduate study program in leadership. And I want to say, first thing, I want to thank our teachers and our staff. I have two boys, and I love them, and they would not be anywhere where they are without all of the teachers at both schools and without the administration. I just think the world of them, and that is how I felt from preschool till now. And I'm nervous, and you can hear it very much. I urge you, I also want to thank the school board. This is hard for me to come up and say something that might oppose how you feel. You got us that school. I mean, we got us that school, but you did the countless hours to meet with people and listen to our town to get us our school. And among other things, you know, better contracts and more for our kids, and we've come so far. We've always been a great town. I love our town, and I've loved the direction in which we're moving until lately. So I say to you, please, please pause. The people who signed that petition are your workhorses of our community. They're the people who lead and help out the booster club, the Little League, the soccer coaches, the teacher luncheon coordinators, the project grad leaders, the volunteers who help make all that happen. They're some of the strongest supporters of our school and our district. They vote for the budgets. They vote for you. They vote for everything to support our school. So I ask you this because I understand there are situations that happen that you can't discuss. I ask you this. Well, please pause. Please pause. If at all possible, take a new look. Get an outside voice to come in and look at this from an impartial direction. But pause, because what's going on right now and the direction we're heading in is not good. That's what I ask. That's it.
My name is Jimmy Nigro, 13 Durrell Drive. And I've been kind of riding the sidelines on this for a little while. But after your email this morning, I decided to become a player. In 10 and a half years since my son has been in this school system, there has never been something so corrupt with our school system or our community. We built this community. We built this school system. You didn't. I know in my inner heart and my soul the type of person that I am. The fact that if my community or my colleagues, my employers, if they don't like me, there's one of two things that I would do. I would fix what I'm doing wrong, or I would leave. Personally, I am disgusted by some of the verbiage that my son comes home with every day, stating that everybody in this school system has a bullseye on their back. You don't think this school's corrupted right now? I think you really need to look in the mirror. I think you do.
Peyton Catalano, 10 Norton Woods Drive. School board, I am a former student here, and I just graduated this past spring. Now I am attending Temple University in downtown Philadelphia. Tonight, you will hear and have heard a ton of stories saying how good of a guy Mr. Mazzoni is. That is very true. He's been one of my best friends, and he's a fantastic guy. But I want to speak on 2D and how horribly this process has been handled. Listen, his privacy is first and foremost, and that's a given. Nobody here should expect to hear why he was being put on leave, because that is his own business, and I believe in that. However, what is inexcusable is how this was handled. Taking a principal out of the school and waiting until people noticed to say anything, that's shameful. Waiting months before finally coming up with a replacement plan that also takes away the elementary principal from them, shameful. Their educations are just as important. Storming out of a meeting because students want to know what the heck is going on with their education and speaking up for themselves, that is shameful. You are elected to represent the school to the local government, yet I'm seeing a lot of politicians working for the local government before the school. You should be advocating for kids to talk about what they're passionate about. These fine kids, one of which I was, want to advocate and want to be passionate about what they believe in. The idea of free speech is what America is founded on, yet you believed you're too high up to reason with the kids you represent and decided to storm out of the meeting, damaging the man's reputation so the superintendent can get her own man in there is the definition of a corrupt politician. You all know this cost you most of your re-elections when you guys get put up, so why would you further the damage? We all know we want Mr. Mazzoni. Everyone here is saying we want Mr. Mazzoni, except the people up there. So unless you guys are ready to give us a reason, we all are still going to want Ms. Mazzoni, and we're all going to vote for that no confidence petition. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear. Sorry. My name is Deborah Clough, and I reside at 21 Riverbend Road in Newmarket. I'm sitting in front of you because I feel I may have a little experience with this school system. I have had a child or children in the school system for 19 straight years. I will continue to have a child in the school system for another 11. I have seen, heard, and gone through many of the changes that Newmarket has made pertaining to our school system. This is the first time I've felt compelled to come to the school board meeting and speak, so thank you for listening to me. In my 19 years, I have never seen an organized, publicized student walkout. I have never seen a school board attempt to stop a child from talking. I've never heard of a large group of upcoming graduating students say, I will not be accepting my diploma the traditional way by shaking the hand of the superintendent. I have never heard of the school board being talked about in town in such a negative way. I have never heard groups of teachers, support staff, and other school employees say, I'm scared to speak my mind. I'm uncomfortable. I'm afraid of retaliation. I have never seen a petition being started to remove anyone in the school district because the people lacked confidence in them. I have not had to worry that the school staff will be shuffled around to cover other positions that don't fit their qualifications. Do I have to worry that tomorrow the custodian will be serving as a school nurse? Yet, in 4 months, all of this has happened. These are red flags that there's a toxic situation. I don't believe the climate of our school is the best for our children, nor do I feel the work environment is the safest for our staff. I further suspect that the school's budget for legal fees has been blown. When does this stop? These are our children. It is very apparent by your strategically timed public announcement that our principal has not done anything that would warrant his complete removal from that building. All the statement did was solidify that this is over a disagreement or a personal conflict. I'm begging that the town have an outside, unbiased person come in and help resolve this issue. Please. It would be in the best interest of all of us, for you, our kids, and the parents. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Hinchcliffe, 5 Neal Mill Road. I'm the parent of 2 students that attend Newmarket Junior Senior High School, and I've been a teacher for 24 years. For anyone that knows me, this is completely out of my comfort zone, but I felt compelled to speak with you tonight to share my grave concerns. The events of the last few months have been devastating to our community. It is the first time in my 18 years of living in Newmarket that I feel I can no longer trust the elected officials and the people in positions of power to make decisions in the best interest of my children and our children. You have made decisions based on the recommendations of the superintendent who has been in our district for only 6 months. Think about that, 6 months. However, it is evident from the vote of no confidence with over 600 signatures that our community does not have confidence in her decision-making ability. That alone should give you pause to stop and reflect before any final decisions are made that can potentially have a very negative impact on our students, our schools, and the climate of our community. As I said, I've been an educator for 24 years, 18 of them in the district of Hampton, New Hampshire, where a very similar situation took place earlier this year. A building principal placed on leave, a tremendous outcry from the community, teachers, and students in support of him, a vote of no confidence in the superintendent. The differences lie in the clear process that was explained to the public from the very beginning, the involvement of an impartial, third-party investigator who met with any and all staff without the presence of the superintendent, the transparency in which the situation unfolded, and the willingness of the school board to listen to the concerned parties. My hope is that this situation will be resolved much in the same way as the situation in Hampton, with the reinstatement of Mr. Mazzoni as the principal of Newmarket Junior Senior High School and the resignation of our superintendent.
Hi, I'm Zoe McGurk from 40 North Main Street, and okay, so I know I'm not going to receive praise for this, but I wanted to stop the parade of attack that you guys are all receiving. I mean, I've been unwilling to take a certain position on this specific issue because we simply don't know enough at this time, but I've been left wondering countless questions, to be honest. But I think it's more than worth mentioning that the way I have seen not only teenagers but even adults act in regards to the situation is quite frankly appalling and sad. In school, I've seen friendships ended over this, and I will be the first to admit that I'm not completely innocent either, but I've seen such hostility, immaturity, and inappropriateness over this topic, and it needs to be addressed. I think we all need to stop for a moment and give credit where credit is due. First, I wanted to thank the school board for all of your time and effort and all of the amount of emotional stress you guys have gone through because of the words and actions of others. Thank you for diligently following protocol and instructions. Secondly, thank you to Sean Pine for stepping up to the role of principal and offering a higher degree of stability within our school. The amount that you've had to take on is unimaginable, and we are beyond grateful for your effort and patience. Thirdly, thank you to Jennifer DeStefano, Sarah Denham, and Dr. Gibbons for your never-ending effort and strength. You all took on additional work this year while you were entering new positions, and this does not go unnoticed. And I wanted to give extra thanks to Ms. DeStefano for how much she has done for our Model United Nations team in particular. Without her generosity, we would not be able to go on the New York trip that we just presented about, and it's her effort and generosity has been a huge relief to us this year. And so in addition to giving thanks, I wanted to highlight some of the great things that have been happening in Newmarket lately, because no matter what, Newmarket is our home and it is our hearts. In November, teachers moved into their new classrooms successfully, and we've been learning in them since. And I could not be more grateful for the renovations and the positive impact the new building has had not only on our education, but on morale. We've had clubs and teams make huge strides for Newmarket. We just had a rivalry week against Epping, which was organized by our student athletic leadership team, and Newmarket won by more than 200 points. Our athletic teams have been winning game after game, and just a day ago, we had a student in the running for the Best Student Athlete in New Hampshire title. And everybody, students, teachers, and parents, rallied behind her and voted for her over and over again. This solidarity that has gone almost unnoticed amidst this drama will always be at the core of our little town, and we shouldn't let it be forgotten. We can accomplish amazing things together when we all cooperate, act maturely, and show each other kindness. So, I'm asking you all, the entire town, can we please show more empathy, consideration, and kindness to every individual, regardless of opinion, and can we process emotions before acting upon them? Nothing is accomplished through anger, malice, and extreme emotion. So thank you very much for the opportunity to say all of this, and I truly wish the best to everybody involved in this situation.
live at 1203 Piscastic Street, and I go to this school, and Mr. Mazzoni has always been there to help me. And I have a single mom, and she's been doing a pretty good job. Mr. Mazzoni's always been willing to help us out with that, and he's always helped me like with my grades, and I've always had someone to talk to. And recently, I feel like I've had no one to talk to, and that students are just giving up, and there's a lot of stuff that's like going wrong. School's kind of out of control now. There's really no administration. I could go to the office. I've been sent to the office plenty of times. I could go to the office. I could sit there for like 90 minutes and no one's gonna talk to me. So I just get up and leave. I never get in trouble. And I'm not saying like I don't enjoy that part, but it would be better if like there was more punishments, more like it was dealt with like in a reasonable manner instead of like just looking away or not really handling it well at all, I guess. And Mr. Mazzoni also was gonna help me and my friend Trey with a club that would, like a diversity club, so we could have more information on different races and different cultures in the school. And my friend Trey moved, and I was going to continue that, but now he's not here, so I don't really want to continue that with the people that I don't know. Because I've known Mr. Mazzoni forever, and I don't want to have my diploma handed to me by someone I don't know. I don't want to graduate with my class and see someone I don't know. So I just want you guys to know that we love Mr. Mazzoni, and no offense to you guys, but we just like a principal back because he's just a good guy.
Hi, Amy Smith from Maple Crest here in Newmarket, and I just wanted to thank Zoe and further support her comments and thank you as a school board. I think emotions are definitely high, and we're doing a lot of blaming and focusing on the last couple of months, and I just want to thank you. You don't get paid enough for all of the hard work that you do. And I just want, and I understand that this probably won't be well received, but I'm okay with that. It concerns me that we're blaming everything on a new superintendent that's only been here for 6 months and a school board that's worked so hard. I think we as a town need to make sure that we don't just keep going through superintendent after superintendent when we're not happy with exactly what they're doing. And we need to work more on coming together as a community and working out our issues instead of deciding to move on to the next superintendent. I worry that sooner or later we will be a town that nobody wants to become the superintendent because they're not supported, and that people may not step up to be school board members because there's so much anger and so much people fighting back about decisions that are made. So I don't know all of the information, but I trust you as a school board and I trust you as a superintendent, and I'm hoping that as a town we can continue to work together and put aside some of our anger and frustrations and speak together and work together in a more productive way. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexia Catalano. I'm at 10 Norton Woods Drive, Newmarket, obviously. Dr. Gibbons, when I first met you, I tried to be an outgoing person. As most of you know, I am friendly to everyone. That's kind of my personality. But it's hard to say that I know you as a person. You have not been in our school. And that's something that is taken personally to me and to my fellow students. We have not seen you in the school, and you are saying that you are making decisions based upon our climate and the climate of our school when you have not been there to experience the climate that was there. If you had been there, I could fully support your decision. But I think I saw you once, maybe in the office, but you never came into classrooms. You never saw us during our passing times when we were talking to teachers and Mr. Mazzoni would come and talk to us. And I get that it's not just about Mr. Mazzoni, but when my education is being impacted by it, this is something that needs to change. He would always come out to people in the hallway and be like, hey, let's go back to class, and like encourage them and still talk to them about their daily lives and get to know him as a person, and he got to know them. I have not seen you there, and I get that it's a different position, and I get that you are a superintendent who has different responsibilities, but also I need you to step up for our students who don't know you, and we can't say that we do when you're not in our classrooms. At least pop in, say hi, introduce yourself. I didn't even know who you were the first time that I met you, which is really disconcerting to me, because the kids who even aren't going to the office and like poking in, saying hello, weren't gonna know who you were, they weren't gonna know your face, and that is really concerning. And we're honestly not seeing the same support from you that we saw from past places, not just in superintendents and principals, but just in general. A lot of times, Mr. Mazzoni would go to our games or our drama shows or our band concerts and that kind of thing. When we had a state championship, he was not able to go. And I understand that that is personal reasons, and he was not allowed to go. I get that. But it would have made a lot of difference to the kids back there who actually won a state championship for you to have been there. And a lot of our students feel really sad that they don't know you, and that's why it's hard for us to stand up here and say that we do have confidence in you, because we don't know you as a person. If you had been in our classrooms, maybe I could say that you could see the climate change in our culture that needs to change in our school, but when you are not there to experience our climate in the first place, you can't change it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Howard. I live at 15 Doe Farm Lane. My concern in seeing this email today is that for this, the best case scenario for the kids is we are pulling the principal from the grammar middle school to put in the high school, because we're putting that principal as the facilities director until next year when the new principal go back to the other school. This whole thing is so absurd and so ridiculous. I'm actually stupefied. There's either an ego issue here or a hormone issue, but something has to get checked. And I think we've been really good and really calm. And
Listen,
it's,
hold on, just a
but
second.
it's not offensive. It's just
I'm gonna let you finish, but
Okay.
let's not insult people like
Oh,
that.
but that's your perception. I'm insulted you think it's okay to put a principal as facilities director, and I work at a construction company.
Ma'am.
So asking somebody to have their hormone levels checked or to have an ego check, I think that's a normal thing to ask at this stage in life. It's just my opinion, and it's your perception. That's it.
Hi, I am Brendan Barnes of 82 Lady Slipper Drive, and I'm not here to talk about my opinion on Mr. Mazzoni, because that's not my place. I'm here to talk about how you handled information regarding the situation. I am somebody who prides myself on being able to deliver information to my classmates, and I pride myself on being able to do it without bias, because the students have every right to be just as informed as the parents do. So when I got told this morning that there had been this sort of breakpoint email that had been sent out to all the parents, just like the last email that got sent out, it was sort of concerning, because I feel like there is no argument that can be made that this situation does not affect the students of our school. And I think that they have every right to be just as informed as the parents do, and I think there should be some measure to keep them informed, because if it were up to me, I would say that a student who steps up to inform other students when they can't be informed, that role shouldn't exist. Everybody should have information, whatever they need to make any sort of judgment call they want. To be able to send out emails to just the parents and then have the school, as Felix said, feel the aftershocks of receiving that information secondhand. It is very real, and it is it's a pretty intense problem when it happens. And The only thing that I want to ask of the school board is more transparent communication to everyone, because I feel like you guys have the prerogative to decide who gets information, I believe. And I would say that you don't just have the ability to keep everybody informed, parents and students. I would say that you also have the responsibility to keep everybody informed. And without that, it's just going to lead to more information and communication breakdown, and that is going to be the least helpful thing for all of us in this situation. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elena Lyon, 11 Gonnet Drive, and I want to just say a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank the school board. I know that this is a really difficult time. I know that you guys have put in hours and hours on this particular issue. I know that dealing with the students and the faculty and the community, there are what we call multiple stakeholders, and people have different desires and different needs, and sometimes bringing them together can be really tough. And we know that there's a lot of passion in this room, and so I appreciate your bravery and your time, and I trust you. And so that's a really important point. The people in this room elected you, they trust you. I want to remind them that they elected you and that they trust you and that they know you, that the members of the school board are people that we know. They know Mr. Mazzoni, they care about Mr. Mazzoni, they have been advocates for Mr. Mazzoni, they have had beers with Mr. Mazzoni, they have spent time on the field, soccer fields with Mr. Mazzoni. So this is not, from the school board perspective and from my perspective, a personal attack. And so that being said, I want to say a couple things. One, I'm very impressed with this community. The community cares deeply about education, and that's wonderful to see this many people on a frigid January night saying, I care about my student, I care about this school, I care about this community. And so I applaud the community for making that effort. And yes, sometimes difficult conversations have to be made, and I also applaud everyone tonight who I think for the most part has been incredibly respectful, and I appreciate that. So I just want to say a couple things given from my own experience as someone who leads academic programs and has to deal with personnel issues. Personnel issues are often confidential. We can't talk about them. And that's often for the protection of the person themselves, of that particular person that serves that. And I don't know the details. I have no inside trader information on this particular thing, but I know, having been in places myself when there were staff that I cared about that we had problems with, I could not talk about it publicly. And that was for the protection of that staff member, and it was in compliance with law. And so I'm going to trust the school board that they are dealing with something difficult and that they are trying to do the very best for all of the stakeholders involved. And so again, I thank you. And I wanted to say one thing about this particular petition. Having sat on search committees for educators before, it's a ton of work. And at this particular time, we know that we have a facility that's undergoing construction, and we're towards the end, which thankful, that's a very good thing, but there's a lot of disruption in the school, in that building, without the politics and without the drama. I think that moving forward and trying to do a new search will even disrupt this further. And so I think I implore to this community that it's time to stop pointing fingers and blaming people, and it's time to get on to the business that we are so passionate about, and that is educating our children. Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is Mickey Burns. I live at 145 Ash Swamp Road. It's probably important for me to say that I am the chair of the budget committee here in Newmarket, but I am not appearing in that role. I'm simply sharing my ideas in the marketplace of ideas. So with that out of the way, I did want to say that I applaud anybody who comes up to this microphone, especially with WMUR here, and shares their thoughts on what is obviously a very difficult and challenging situation here. I felt it important to sort of step up and just say that this is tough. I mean, like what kind of a hairball we're all finding ourselves in the middle of. And I'm sure if each and every one of us could get into our own personal Wayback Machine and start over again, we would probably do a few things differently. I think when we're talking about do we have confidence in the people behind the table across from me, I want to come down on the side of saying, yes, I do have confidence in the folks that are sitting there. They have represented us through some very difficult times. I think back to when the school vote didn't pass the first time, or the Carpenter land vote, or whatever it was. It just felt like we were very divided, and there was never going to be an open dialogue. I looked to Mike. I thought he did a very good job at that time, opening some doors that needed to get opened through diplomacy and negotiation. We ended up with the school solution that we have now, and I got to tell you, when I first thought about what we were going to see when that happened, I was not looking to like it. But I have to say that the compromise has worked really well for this community, and I think that's important for everybody as we talk about where to go from here. And I think compromise and understanding that everybody is doing the best job they can given the information that they have. On that note, I have served on the budget committee for 6 years. Dr. Givens is the 4th superintendent that we have been through. And so there's a bit of cranking amps that I think she is going to need to come up to speed with. And I believe that given the search that we did for her and the opportunity that she presents to this community, we should allow her the ability to continue to work for this community. In comparison to folks that we've had in the past who either didn't seem fully engaged or didn't seem to really want to share the information that they had, I find Dr. Gibbons' approach to some very difficult questions that she has captured from the members of the budget committee to be honest and forthright in the uncomfortable position every now and then when she says, I don't have that information in front of you, I can go back and get it for you. So I think in terms of all the emotion that it's happening here, this is a difficult situation. I want to echo some of the things that I said before. I look around the room, I see coaches of my kids, I see parents of kids that I coach, I see friends and neighbors, and I think if the school building and that whole experience we went through, I think teaches us one thing, is that Newmarket is at its best when it looks for compromise and not sort of climbing into our corners and hoping for the big win. So thanks everybody for coming here. Thanks everybody for listening, and go Newmarket.
Hi, I'm Cameron Young. I live at 322 Ashmont Road. I'm here to speak on student section. I've been at this high school for basically 3.5 years, and the past 3 years it's been great. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but it's been a good 3 years, except for this half of the year. The amount of disruption at this school is so beyond what I thought it was going to be. I have never experienced so many people just lashing out at each other. Our school is just falling apart. It needs to be fixed. Like, it's not okay anymore. I'm graduating this year, and to think that the one person who has been here throughout my entire high school career and middle school career is not going to be giving me my diploma is heartbreaking. It is truly heartbreaking, and I'm not okay with it. I was looking forward to walking across the stage, receiving my diploma from him, and getting that big bear hug that everybody knows he gives out. It's just disappointing to know that he's not walking through the halls of Newmarket anymore. It's sad walking into school and not being greeted by him. Frankly, I'm not greeted by anybody when I walk in this school. And I also, based on going off of what Lexi said earlier, I have not seen the superintendent at the school once, except for when there was a little bit of disruption, the walkout for Mr. Mazzoni. And that is the only time I've seen her here at our school. And I think that's a little disheartening to know that it feels like she doesn't want to get to know us, and that really stinks. I just would ask that you guys reconsider everything and think about the students because it's really causing a lot of disruption at our school. And I don't want it to ruin my senior year like it already has been. I would like to finish my senior year with Mr. Mazzoni as our principal. And yeah, I just, things need to be changed. Thank you.
Hi, Nathan Lunny, Bennett Way. I just have to say to the whole room how amazing, when we talk about courage, I appreciate the comments folks have made about everyone that's had courage to step up to the microphone. I'm particularly hearing the voice of a high schooler resonate in my head, making the first real impassioned call for civility. And having served on that board with you folks and hearing some of the other comments that have been made, I just want to say again, like others have said, thank you very much for maintaining your professionalism and for continuing to be respectful through a very difficult process. Having sat with you, serving all of these people in this community, I know how hard personnel matters are. It's most difficult when you really can't speak to anything, you can't comment, and frequently don't know as much as you'd like to know, just like folks in the community. I know what we lived through, and I respect and appreciate that each of you have skin in this game too. Your kids are in this school just like mine and ours are. And so I want to echo again the voices that have said thank you for the service that you give to us and have for years. Thank you for your continued service and for your patience and professionalism through what continues to be difficult. I encourage us all to recognize what's been mentioned already before, which is we came from some really dark, challenging times, and we found a way to maintain our civility and make sure every voice was heard. I applaud us for leaving much time open for everyone's voice to be heard tonight, and I encourage us to continue to hold to the civility that we worked hard to find so that we don't lose that in Newmarket. Thank you.
My name is Tom Thomas, live in Packers Falls Road. First of all, I want to say thank you to the board. I know this is really tough for you guys. I understand with a lot of these issues, there's not much you can say, and there's probably a lot that you want to say and a lot that we all want to hear you say. I can tell that most of you really do care about and respect our town. I do have to say, Dr. Givens, currently I have no confidence that you can lead this district. I am hoping that we can turn that around. And the reason I say that, I actually personally have no stake in whether Mr. Mazzoni is here or not. I know that the town does, and they care about him very much. I feel that the way this has transpired, it's been handled extremely poorly. With somebody who's so respected, the town needs to know you need to give us more to go on. Mr. Kennison, you talked about respecting the process, and I do trust that you guys have some reasoning behind it all. But, Doctor, in order to build that trust with the school, we need more from you. Not only that, I see with the changes that we're asking to add an assistant superintendent for such a small district, that's a concern for me. It's a large budget concern for us as well. Budget concerned where we've been paying somebody 9 weeks to not be doing anything, and now, also from what we heard from the town today, that it's a town position that Mr. Mazzoni is going to be taking over some of the duties for, so that's a concern there that we're, again, spending more money. There was, I believe, a 7% budget increase that was proposed, which I feel was not supported, by you during the budget hearings. So again, we have a lot of concerns, and right now I'm asking you to please show us that you care about our district and you care about the people here in this room, and turn it around. Please show us that you care about us and start supporting us. Thank you.
I'm John Baldy, 23 Madison Lane. I'd like to officially submit the petition. I'd like to just read through it first. We have over 600 signatures on the petition. This wasn't something that we did as a knee-jerk reaction to Mr. Mazzoni being suspended. It was something that the town and the 600 people on here felt was needed because the process wasn't working. And as of yesterday, we had, until the letter came out, we had no resolution and had a principal that had been home being paid for 9 weeks. And we didn't have anything else that we felt that we could do other than to come to an agreement. And there's a lot of people on this petition that normally don't agree with each other, but we have over 600 people that agree that that what is said in this petition is what they'd like to present. So this petition is an expression of our vote of no confidence in Dr. Givens and her ability to run our school. We understand the severity of this decision and did not arrive at it hastily. Newmarket has always been a district to be proud of, one of where decisions were made on a collaborative basis with the best interest of our students in mind. Newmarket schools have always been a district that experienced great vision from our leaders, and teachers were given the respect and support to achieve our goals. Throughout the past couple of months, we have had concerns regarding Dr. Givens' leadership, specifically regarding trust, collaboration, decision-making, vision, lack of respect for parents and staff, and lack of communication. We also believe that Dr. Givens has failed to provide a viable reason for Principal Mazzoni's absence. Her inability to provide a plan has caused much strife within the community and in the school itself. She has not created a safer school environment, but instead has created a toxic environment for both students and staff. Without the recognition of mistakes or the willingness to listen to parents or her own trained, competent teachers, there is no hope for learning or improvement and thus no way forward. We feel she has a lack of attention to, preparation for, or appropriate prioritizing of the budgetary issues and tasks associated with her job description, as well as a failure to recognize and respect what Mr. Mazzoni has done for our schools and kids, continues to do for our schools and kids, and will continue to do. We feel she has inconsistency in application of rules and an ongoing lack of respect towards many of the parents and current staff. A school cannot be run successfully with a one-way avenue of communication. Even when input is sought, there is a failure to follow through or a total disregard for the ideas of many. When communication occurs, it is too often delayed and incomplete. There's just an overall feeling that we as parents are losing ground all the time. We need different, more solid leadership. The morale is low, and we feel a change is both necessary and warranted. For these reasons stated, we, the undersigned, are voting no confidence in Dr. Givens and hope and believe that you, as the chairman of the school board, will make the right decision and choose what is in the best interest for the children in the community. So if it's okay, I'd like to present this.
Hi, my name is Olivia Wallace. I live at 203 South Main Street. I'm starting by saying that I respect and thank the school board for listening to us tonight. I would like to talk to you about my experience at Newmarket High School. I did not start off here. I moved here 3.5 years ago when I was just starting high school. I remember how scared I was and how the community welcomed me with open arms. I had to move at the end of my freshman year, but I came back to my junior year because I loved this community. A major part of that was Mr. Mazzoni. When I came to the school, he always made sure to say hi to me, make sure I knew of any extracurricular activities that were going on, and always helped me if I was confused. He was always kind, and when I had to move, he personally brought me to the office to talk to me and tell me he enjoyed having me at the school. This made me feel welcomed and that I needed to come back. And it was one of the major reasons I returned to Newmarket High School. I wanted to return to the school where I felt trusted and felt respected by the administration. When I did come back, Mazzoni always went out of his way to tell me how happy he was to see me. This made me feel like my choice to return to Newmarket High School was the right one. I no longer feel that way. I can't say how you are as a person, Dr. Gibbons, as I don't know you. But as a superintendent, I feel as though you have not been the best. However, I personally feel like this could be fixed if you worked with the community and listened to us. All I ask of you is to listen to what everyone has said and begin to fix what has been broken. Thank you.
Hi, Eli Longa, 176 Exeter Road. Before I begin, I would just like to personally thank Mr. Pine for doing his best in coming to our school. He has a lot to deal with, but he's clearly doing the best he can in a tough situation. I would like to recognize that. In regards to Mr. Mazzoni's situation, in the email that was sent this morning, it says, and I quote, "The circumstances underlying Mr. Mazzoni's absence have been resolved." I find the use of the word resolve interesting because resolve can be interpreted in a few different ways. I don't doubt the fact that you all feel that the situation has been resolved, but has the issue in regard to the atmosphere of the school been resolved? I personally don't feel so. I don't feel any closure in regards to the situation. I don't think many students do. The use of the word resolved also brings up questions as to what we would consider a resolution. Essentially, Mr. Mazzoni is just being moved to a different position. He's still going to be involved to an extent, a lesser extent, with students. And my main concern is, if that's the case, then why can't he be principal again? I don't doubt that maybe you have a reason, but I just don't know if I buy it. And I don't know if that reason could have been avoided, if there could have been something done. I really don't know. And I'm sure the answer to a lot of these questions is a legal matter that you can address, and that's okay. But as you can see, this community doesn't buy that excuse. I would say that a lot of people here tonight feel very strongly about their views, which is fine. I would say that some people take a more extreme view than others, which is also fine. People are entitled to how they feel. But personally, I find it difficult to deny the fact that the atmosphere in the school right now, and that the general student, the average student in school right now, feels dejected and feels let down. Feels let down with the way that this issue has been dealt with, and feels let down with the connection that they feel to administration at this point in time, and feels let down that their principal will no longer be the man who he used to be to us. Feels let down by the fact that we might not receive our diploma from someone who we feel that we know. Ultimately, I find it very unfortunate that this is how you all feel this situation is content with ending. Thank you.
Hello. Michelle Burley, 7 Stonewall Way. First of all, I do want to thank the school board. I know this has been a hard time. Up to this point today, I have simply been a neutral party. I've been watching, I've been listening, I've been waiting. Up until today, when we received the email. Then I made my decision. I'm here to support my daughter, who is a senior, who is anxious, who is mad that the principal is gone, who doesn't understand there are no answers. I'm here to support Mr. Mazzoni. I was a teacher at Newmarket Junior Senior High School for 9 years before I left to go to another elementary school. Had Newmarket had an opening for a reading specialist, I would have gone there. I know Mr. Mazzoni. He cares for the school, he cares for the teachers, he cares for his students. I do not know what happened. That is between him and you. That is, as people have said, a legality. But there has been no transparency in the fact that he was gone for at least 3 weeks before something went out saying he was on administrative leave. I did not know about this until my daughter said, "Where is our principal?" About an hour later, I got the email. It's very disconcerting. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. Today, the email. It said it was sent with the superintendent and Mr. Mazzoni. Mr. Mazzoni was not anywhere in that letter. It's like he was sent away never to be spoken of again or seen. Until we learned in the email that he was going to be given a job as facilities director. As Eli Longa said, if he can be facilities director, why can't he be the principal? There's been no police involvement. There's been no investigation. So I ask you to please think about our students, our children, our school, and what's the best thing for them. Please consider keeping him on as principal. Thank you.
Jeff Catalano, 10 Norton Woods Drive. I kind of felt like I had to come up since both my kids came up and spoke. I don't want to be the odd man out at the table later, so I will keep this short though, because the one thing that I think you guys need to remember is that this is about making a decision on whether or not you guys made a bad decision. Now, I've hired a lot of people. I've had to fire a lot of people. And the problem is, the hardest thing in that is looking at yourself and realizing that maybe, just maybe, the decision that you made to hire that person wasn't the right call. And it takes you to be able to control your ego a little bit, and it takes you to be able to kind of check yourself and realize that you might have made a mistake. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether you did or didn't. That's for your choice. That's your decision. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you how great Mr. Mazzoni is, regardless of how I feel about him. You've heard that from a ton of other people, and I'm sure you'll continue to hear it for years to come, no matter how this plays out, right? What you guys need to do tonight is decide, did you make a mistake? It's not an easy decision to make. It's hard. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and know that you might have made a mistake. Now, maybe you didn't. Maybe Dr. Givens can save herself. Maybe everybody who's gotten up and spoken, including the kids, about the culture at the school, maybe they're wrong. Maybe. Or maybe not. You guys have that weight on your shoulders, and it's an impossible decision to make, and it's hard, because you have to be able to admit you might have made the mistake. All I ask tonight is for you to make that decision as honestly and heartfelt as you can. Understand that everybody can make a mistake. Maybe, just maybe, you guys might have made a mistake on this one. With that, I'll leave you. Good night, and thank you for all that you do.
like to say to Zoe McGurk that if she ever runs for president, she automatically has my vote. I also would like to say that I've lived in numerous states and I've moved around a lot. Newmarket is the town I've lived in the longest. And I have to say how much I love this town and the people in this town. And when we fought for a new school and then add Reno, just the sense of community and the pride that we had. All the school boards, not just, you know, you guys sitting right here right now, but the previous school boards, all the time that's been dedicated to the school facility issues and trying to improve the facilities. It just shows the level of passion that this town has for educating our youth. And I know every single one of you sitting on the school board have put in so many volunteer hours, and Liz, you've been on the school board for quite a long time and dedicated a lot of your own time and effort. And Mike, you know, trying to bring the town together on both sides to get the school vote, and Kim, and then both of the new school board members, of just everything you guys have done. I'm just so appreciative. And I know that you guys have the best interests of the kids at heart. And I wish that it wasn't like this tonight, and I would hope that we could come together as a town, because really it all boils down to the education. That's what school is for, right? To educate our youth. And that matters. And I know, you know, listening to the first, I think it was the first school board meeting in September, you know, Ms. Gibbons, you do know a lot about school systems, and we did choose you, right, as a town to come be our superintendent. And being that we've had so much turmoil and turnover, it would be really nice if we could just have some stability in town. And I would hope that the town would be open to get to know you, because we don't know you. And I think that the town, you know, we do need to give you a chance, and we do need to get to know you. And I know that for whatever reason why Mazzoni is not here, it's not something that you guys would take lightly. And I know that you guys are serious about this enough that you know this, obviously the turmoil is probably gonna happen. So I just hope that we could all come together, because there are always different perspectives and different experiences. And I hope that as a town we can have compassion with each other's own experiences. So thank you for your service to the town, and I hope that there's a resolution and that we can all work together, because hearing in September, of which I was not even aware of, that there was a 20% teacher turnover rate really concerned me. And I mean, we're really here for education, educating our youth and making sure that they're ready for college. And you know, I would hope that we can push our children, and not only as a city of Newmarket, or, you know, New Hampshire residents or U.S. residents. I mean, we fall to what, 25th, 19 in the world. It would be nice to just educate our youth in the best way possible. And I think that we have the right people here, and I hope that we can all come together as a town to make it happen. Thank you.
I'm Karina Jones of Packers Falls Road. I was going to do the student comments, and I wanted to talk about the comment going around saying that students aren't affected by Mr. Mazzoni's absence, and it's simply just not true. Without Mr. Mazzoni here, we used to always walk in and see his smiling face with a greeting every morning, and he knew everybody's name. Without him here, there's nothing like that, like Cameron said. The support that we're getting right now is not nearly the same as we would have with Mr. Mazzoni. An example could be used as the boys winning the state championship and the girls going to the state championships. We would always have the send-off. This year we didn't have the same type of thing. He would always be at the games, supporting us, cheering us on, and that was not happening. He always cared about the students and would check in with them. Like I said before, he knew everyone's names and would walk in and see how you're doing and make sure everything's okay. He knew something was off, and he knew something was exciting happening. He has helped many of us become who we are and shaped us on who we are today. He's helped us with colleges for seniors, helped us get to classes that would help us further get into the colleges we want. Along with that, he pushed us to go back to class if we were on break. If we were walking around the hallways, he would ask what we were doing and make sure we did whatever we were doing quickly so we could get back to class and get that education. He isn't here to celebrate any of the accomplishments that we have completed, whether it's conferences, going to DC for a law program, whether it's for getting into colleges, or anything else. As students, we just want our principal back, and that's all we would like. Thank you.
Hi, 1203 Piscassic Road. I'm going to be short and sweet, but as the parent...
Name for the...
Oh, Claire Healy.
For the minutes.
Claire Healy.
Thanks.
As a parent of a child who may or may not have spent an exorbitant amount of time in the front office over the past few years, I will tell you that I have been there several times this year, once before he was gone and twice since he's been gone. The difference in the atmosphere in the building is palpable, like scary palpable. It's like a morgue in there, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. So, having said that, I'm gonna say I would love to have Mr. Mazzoni back. Physically, his physical presence there literally is huge. That's it, thanks.
Hi, my name is Amy Tilton, 94 Saunders Drive. One thing that I haven't heard addressed this evening, it may have been, but I did not hear it correctly, is that with that email that was sent out today, it said that a principal is now going to be a facility manager. He's going to run the construction, the renovation, oversee that. What I want to know as a taxpayer, what is his experience? You said he had experience with construction. Did he renovate his bathroom last year? I want to know before this even happens. We need to know his experience level. It took 3 votes to get to where we are. I moved here 14 years ago. I voted then, and I voted the second and third time to get to this point. I'm proud to live here. I want to keep going the way we've been going. I'm from Boston. When I first moved here, I hated it. I hated Newmarket. Why did I move here? I'd say to my husband every day. Now I love it, and I don't want to go anywhere. So, back to the point of construction. We're paying a lot of money for that new renovation, new building. Is he fit to run that? I want to know that. And who came to that agreement? Was that an ultimatum for him so he could stay here for the rest of the year? We need more facts that led to that decision. You can't just throw that out in an email. He's not I've never heard of him being a construction manager. I've known him for a long time. So I think before anything proceeds with that position, that he takes that over, we need more information. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, Ashley Bowley, 28 North Main Street. Thanks for listening to us tonight. As someone who was formerly on a committee, I very much trust the process and the protocol. But to piggyback off of what Ms. Tilton said, why is our town administrator caught by surprise at the joint statement that was made today and Mr. Mazzoni's apparent new job as a construction worker? That's just a very specific question to me. I don't understand how our actual town administrator would be caught by surprise with this, and it's a huge, huge red flag to me personally. Thank you.
Mike LaBranch, 18 Durrell Drive, Newmarket. Mr. Chairman, school board members, Dr. Givens, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I really only want to touch on a couple of things, and the first one being, I understand the chain of command. School board oversees the superintendent, superintendent oversees everything else. I don't have a problem with that. That's been the chain of command for years. Someone got up here and spoke earlier about mistakes, bad decisions. A mistake is only a mistake if it's not corrected. A bad decision is only a bad decision if it's not corrected. I'm asking the school board to take a look at this situation. Think real hard. If you made a mistake, fine. Fix it. If you've made a bad decision, fine. Fix it. But I'm asking you to do something about it. Thank you.
Hi, Karen Paulsonetti, 8 Stonewall Way. I'm not sure which one of these I'm supposed to talk into. Is this one? This one? Thanks. So first I'm here to talk in regards to the petition, number one. But before I go into that, I would like to thank the school board. I know you guys have put countless hours into this. When I first, I'm going to go back just a bit. When I first moved to Newmarket, it was a big decision to move here, and one of the reasons I moved here was when I walked into the Newmarket High School. I was welcomed by the principal, which was not Mr. Mazzoni at the time. And the environment was this welcoming environment, so much to the fact that the guidance counselor actually came and asked me if they could keep my daughter for the day upon our visit, so she could tour the school a little bit longer. And when she came home, she was so thrilled with the school that she was invited to go to the talent show. And the teachers embraced her, and the students embraced her. And from that moment, I knew that this was the town for me. We moved here, and I feel like it has been an endless fight for this school. We have fought through so much. We tried to get a new school. That didn't work. We fight for teachers. We fight for enrichment programs. We fight for paras. We fight for everything that we have to get, we fight for. And I didn't really know it was that way. I thought a school system worked. And I know you guys believe that you're there doing the best job that you can do. And I know that you can't speak to so many issues. But I also know you are the same people that have fought for this school with us for all these years. And I don't understand what's happened. There has to be something that it just doesn't make sense to me. And I really do believe in your hearts that you know there's something that's not right with the situation. And I don't know what it is. And it's not here for me, because I'm not here for you to tell me what it is. But I am here, and the rest of the town, I don't want to say everyone, but everyone wants a solution to this problem. It's been 2 months, and we still don't have a solution, which will be my segue into the no confidence petition. We don't have a solution, because from the statement that Steve Fournier put out today, the position of the facilities director that was offered to Mr. Mazzoni does not seem like it's actually a position. So we still are without a solution to the school problem. In addition to where my feeling of no confidence in Dr. Givens is the fact of the other decisions that she has made for this school district. There's been, I think someone briefly mentioned the assistant superintendent position. That position's been filled. It's not a question anymore if there's going to be an assistant super, but I think it's called an assistant director, district coordinator, assistant district coordinator, which I've never heard of this position before. And this position apparently pays $134,000 a year for someone working 3 days a week. So I'm a little confused, and perhaps I have the information wrong, but that's what the information I was given. So I'm a little confused by that position. I'm a little confused by why we have 2 assistant principals at the high school that do not have credentials to actually be a principal in New Hampshire, and that is why Sean Pine had to come to the high school. So I'm a little confused by that, because now you've torn apart the elementary school. And it's not to say that the assistant principal isn't capable of taking care of the elementary school, because she is, but she didn't want to. That's not what she came here to do. So when you put people in positions that they don't belong in, or you don't give people support in the positions that they're in, how do you think people can survive? How do you think people can succeed? If we think back of Mr. Mazzoni's path, we didn't set him up for success. We've all talked about what a mess the district's been in since the previous superintendent. Did we set him up for success? No. When you have a position, you fill it to your weaknesses. And that is my guess why we are hiring an assistant district coordinator, is because we need to fill in the weaknesses, which again is not what this town needs. We need to spend the money on the teachers in the building, and we've always fought for that. All of us have always fought for that. So this goes way beyond Mr. Mazzoni. This goes way beyond the fact that we still have no solution to our problem. So I beg you to look at the solution, and we can't have this go on. It's not fair to the students. It's not fair to the seniors. It's not fair to the elementary school kids. It's not fair to the parents. It's not fair to this community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn Kennison. I live 5 Winged Drive. I appreciate everybody coming, and I was not planning on speaking, of course. Is this a microphone?
I think that one.
This one?
The first
Okay.
one. The one on your
Left, okay. But I'm really bothered by the statement that someone will defend a principal for being set up for failure, because I know for a fact that Susan Givens has been given that same position. She came into a summer job where at least 20% of the staff was left. We don't know why. We will probably never know why. But she was handed a situation that no one would want to be handed. She also was handed a situation where the administrator who was in charge did not know how to schedule. And I had personal experience with that, and I know everybody who has kids in this room had personal experience with that. And I think it's a shame that nobody is recognizing that. And I think it's time to stop the bullying and to move on and to come together and look forward to the 21st century learning that I know that she has been hired to do. And I would appreciate it if people would start thinking about that.
Joshua Gilbert, 26 Elm. So, I don't want to be repetitive. You guys, for months and months and months, have been hearing everything from every side. The only thing that I want the board, Dr. Gibbons, the only thing I want you guys to remember, none of you signed up for this for the parking passes. None of you signed up for this because you make extravagant amounts of money for doing what you do and putting all the time that you put into it. And Dr. Gibbons, at one point in your career, you did this for every single kid that is sitting back there. All of you decided to go into these positions for the best of the students that you represent. The only thing that I ask is that you look at this entire situation, look at yourselves, and ask what's best for these students, because I don't know a single town in this entire state that seniors who have much better things to do on a Thursday night with all of their friends would show up in standing room only board meeting for a principal that they adore? If anything should speak to you, whether you made a right decision, a wrong decision, or mistakes were made, those children standing up for an administrator like they would stand up for a parent should speak volumes, and that's what you should act on. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Good evening, Edward Moore, 26 Bennett Way. Vast majority of my career deals with experimentation, testing, process observation, and improvement. We've heard a lot about processes in this room tonight. And one of the things I do with process observation is give an assessment. Sometimes that assessment is, wow, this is really robust. This is a great process. No recommendations for improvement. You're not going to hear that from anybody tonight. You probably haven't heard it for the last few months, and I doubt that you will. When I watch human processes and human interactions, and this is a classic example of not having all the information available, I have to ask myself a few questions. And we've heard the first question a couple times. Where's the ego in this process? Another question I ask is, where's the deception? I think we see a lot of deception through the course of the last few months. Another question I often ask is, where's the truth in this process? I'm not seeing a whole lot of truth come out. I really am not. This is an analogy, it's a little bit rough, but sometimes when I observe processes and give a recommendation, the analogy I often use is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink by trying to suck it through the other side. You folks have to look at this process and what you're doing with it and how you're doing it, because it's a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. There have been a couple people who have voiced sympathy for these members. You're not getting any sympathy from me. You put yourself in this position and you seem to be entrenched in it. I'm not really too sure what you're going to do about it, but as has been mentioned before, I hope you reassess and change course. Good luck.
Far one. The left one. Okay, thank you. Caroline Lunny, Maple Crest or Bennett Way, either works. I'm addressing 2E. Dr. Givens, I have personally seen you in the hallways many times, and I would like to thank you for the professionalism you and the school board have maintained throughout this process. You've shown stoic bravery and stayed silent in times in which you can rightfully be offended. I would like to emphasize Zoe McGurk's points and remind us that we are one community, and it is important to not be divided into two sides. And I would like to thank you for your efforts and end these comments with an overall reminder to be civil in the days following and vote Zoe McGurk for president.
Hi, Nancy Miller, 1 Merrill Lane. I'm here as a taxpayer, not as a teacher. Hopefully that will preserve my job. And I mean that sort of jokingly. My concern, I don't know Mr. Mazzoni, but well, I don't have children in the school. That does not impact me at all. The part that impacts me is the plan for coverage when he's not there. The elementary school has been running with 3 administrators, and now we have 2. I recently received a very difficult new student, and there's no one available in the office when I need support. There's not, I've had a couple times when I've brought other children down, sometimes they need a talking to, sometimes they just need a break, sometimes they need just someone to listen to. But without the 3rd administrator, it's really, really challenging for us. I'm not making comments about who should come and who should go or any of that thing. I'm just saying, you know, with the current plan, we are struggling. The office is struggling, and our kids are little, but they're starting to struggle too. They know, you know, I have a little guy, he knows that he's not going to get talked to when he gets down there because there's just not enough people to do it. So I would like you to consider in all your thought process and all the hours that you've put in that I'm very grateful. Remember, we're down there too, and those kids that are little are going to be the big kids at the high school, who have been very impressive tonight on both sides with all of their speeches, and I'm proud to have been part of their education. And I just want to preserve the little guys, that they're really struggling through all of this as well. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Okay, that will close public comment. I'm going to suggest that we take a 5-minute recess, come back. I think that's a humane thing to do at this point for everybody. So we're in recess for about 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, so we're back on the record? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts with us tonight and coming, and it is a cold night. It's kind of rubbing it in coming with a Steelers jersey on. Yeah, whatever. In any event, the board's decided that we're going to take this petition under advisement. We're going to reconvene on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We're going to reconvene here. At that meeting, we'll address the petition, okay? We'll think about it, but there won't be any further public comment at that time. We need to make a decision one way or the other, but I appreciate everybody for being patient and offering your thoughts here tonight.
Will that be a public session, though?
You'll be able to be here. That's right. Yep. Thank you. All right. So, moving on. So we still have a lot left on this agenda. So let's just move through it. Let's go right to the default budget.
In your packet, you will find the default budget that was prepared by Marie D'Agostino. It was handed out, as we had promised, to the Budget Committee on Monday night, and I thought I would share it for you, for your record. There is another Budget Committee meeting. The budget hearing is on Monday night. I believe it's in this room, and the hearing has been posted. I'll welcome any additional questions the Budget Committee has for us, and look forward to seeing you all there.
Okay. Any questions on the default budget? Yeah, we went over it quite a bit at the meeting was it on Monday? Yeah. So.
There were some really good questions that were asked, and unfortunately, you had to say several times, I don't know. And I think it's really important for people to remember that you weren't here for the past 3 budget seasons, and that information that we need wasn't available all the time during those last 3 years. Mike and I can remember asking questions and not getting answers. So I do appreciate when you say I don't know, and honestly, you can't find it if I'm not correct. The information that sometimes we need, you aren't able to find.
I think a combination of that and that there's no business administrator for the school district has had a significant impact on my ability to meet all of the demands and needs of the various boards, committees, and citizenry. Yes.
I think the last time we had a full administrative team was Jim Hayes. We had Jim Hayes, Christine Bluen, Pat Valentine, and Penny Botterman. Like, that's when we would have a great budget, being able to answer those questions. I think that was the last time I can remember a budget just going smooth.
Yes, once we're able to move forward with hiring a full-time business administrator, will make a significant difference. Certainly has an impact on our ability to get timely information when you don't have a key person in that role.
Do we need to take a vote on the default budget tonight? Do that under
I
the
believe
action,
so,
under the
because,
action item? We can defer that until we get down to the action items.
And next are the warrants, which I had presented several times in draft form. We needed to have the default budget complete in order to fill out all of the information required for the articles, and I'm pleased to be able to present to you tonight the articles that we would be moving forward to the town meeting.
Yeah.
So the first one just identifies positions that are open that need to be moved forward for election. The second one is your operating budget, and as you can see, I've plugged in both our total request for funding as well as the default number, and the implication for the tax rate is included as well.
Susan, one question I had about that, I don't know, when I was reading through it and through the note, I was a little concerned about just the you know, I appreciate the information about the federal nutrition and everything, but I'm just afraid that people are gonna get sort of mired down in it, possibly, and I might be wrong on that. So I don't know if we want, I mean, it's important for people to have the detail, but I don't know if that's too much to go into the warrant article for the vote. And that's just my opinion on it.
I think the reason why it's broken out, I know, you know, they're separated out because some money is raised and appropriated, and other money is raised through other means. So, for example, the $380,000 in federal child nutrition revenue is to offset the cost of our food service program. My understanding is that we're required to take a vote on the total bottom line, because in order to be able to spend in government, you have to have an appropriation. And so that's why it's pulled together. But just to clarify for the reader, that $380,000 is for the food service program, and the amounts that are not going to be raised and appropriated. So that's my understanding. Marie D'Agostino, our consultant, you know, was the one that put this together based on the requirements of law. So
There's probably some rule that I don't know that
yeah,
just been put in.
I know that when I looked at your warrants last year, when I was putting together the current budget, it had the grants pieces that had to be pulled in order to be able to have the full complement of appropriations approved at town meeting, so.
Okay.
If you'd like it laid out a little differently, I can certainly have it done that way. The total operating budget as presented would require $1.57 increase to the tax rate. So.
Versus the default budget was
The default budget, it would be 99 cents.
99 cents.
But we
added
should
to the tax rate.
talk about, because that changed last year, you weren't here, that default budget changed, the way it comes across, and do you remember any of that?
Yeah,
Yes.
basically, and Mike, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what we did last year was that if any contracts that we were in that the citizens did not directly vote on, we could not add it to the default budget.
Right.
In our case, it was transportation that we know we're going to have to pay, but we're not allowed to put it into the default budget. Electrical and stuff like that, things that we know that they're going to be paid for, but we can't put them in the default budget because people didn't vote on it.
So then that would, but it would come, we'd still have to pay
We'd
for them.
have to find it somewhere
Still
because we are
contractual.
committed to paying those contracts.
Right.
And wouldn't have the funds to do it, so there would have to be some, so the goal is for ultimately the full budget to pass so that we can fund the things that we need to fund appropriately.
So that's all pretty clear to me. Susan, thank you for you and Marita for putting all that together. And then also, the next one is Article 3. It's about the para contracts, and it lays out how much for the next 3 years. I think it starts out at 58,000, 48, and then 50.
Yes.
And that's all per the agreement. That totally makes sense to me.
I also want to point out that it's, the impact on the tax rate for the first year is 6 cents in order to.
For the para
For the
contract.
para contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Article 4, 5, and 6 are related to the bond interest money that has been accumulating over the course of the last 3 years as we've invested money. And so we have accumulated some, and we have some additional needs within the school that we would like to be able to attend to. And so Article 5, we're requesting that $415,531 be appropriated so that we can continue with some improvements at both schools, add some additional furnishings that weren't in the base of the building project that we find are essential for teaching and learning, and you know, buy some additional furniture as well. So.
Yeah, and just, I mean, people might have heard this before, but those numbers that are broken out in Article 5 and Article 6 are bond interest. We had a $40 million roughly project. We had money sitting in CDs that earns interest. As a district, we can't just spend it. We need your permission, all those who can vote anyways. And so that's what that's what this is about. It's not affecting the tax rate. We went through a robust process this fall with the building committee and the school board at the beginning of the project, back when Chris Andriski was with us, and we did the educational specifications. We came up with a list of things that must need, and then we came up with a list of things that would make the learning experience better. But could we live without? Let me give you an example. Bleachers at the elementary school. My son plays down there now, and you got to kind of sit on the floor. I mean, we'll live, but it would be a lot nicer to have bleachers there. Things like that. Things like this didn't make it on the list, but here's another example of something we looked at: is finishing off the courtyard at the high school. We got a design for it. It would be a great, it would be a great space. And we went during the design process to Portsmouth's building, and it's an awesome space. They use it all the time. They use it all winter. It's really great. I'd love to have that here. Money isn't endless, though, so we had to make some choices, and we put things on an ad alternate list early on of things that we would like to have, but they're not, we can live without for now. And then Dr. Gibbons, when she came on in late July this year, and I think around September and October, went through a survey process with folks who are in the buildings right now. I mean, I don't know if anybody's renovated their house or whatever, but when you do it and you get in, you always find new things that are missing, or you want an outlet over there. It was that kind of review that they went through, and with the administration as well, and whittle it down and making sure we're getting what we need. For an example, and we didn't know this at the time, some of the new science rooms at the high school, they're great rooms, they're brand new, they're really bright, but it sounds like you're in a tin can and you can't hear the teacher, right? And so one of the things in this warrant article is to get some, I don't know what they are, sound panels, I guess they call them.
They just hang down.
They just hang
They're
down.
almost like muffles.
And outlets at the lab station. So things like that, and I'm not covering everything, but this was a process. The building committee approved it unanimously after I think we had 2 meetings on it. So that's the background for those two.
And Articles 6 and 7 are articles that are requesting that the town enable us to put money into 2 of our trust funds. One of them is for facility repairs, and the other one is for technology. As we move into this 21st century and all of this technology has been added in both buildings, we've become increasingly reliant upon the technology for our day-to-day teaching and learning. And so if something should fail, we need to have the wherewithal in between town meetings to take action, and the trust funds are the vehicle that we have available to us to access resources to address any kind of emergency need during the course of the year. So we have drawn down some resources, and we may do more before this building project ends, and this is an effort to replenish those so that if something should happen, because they're not new buildings, they are renovated buildings, and needs do arise. So this, again, is money that would not need to be raised from taxation. It's money that we would allocate from the bond interest. So that's Articles 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Article 8 is a request from the PTA. They have been very active raising money for the playground. The playground was an alternate in the building project, and there wasn't enough money to be able to fund that. So the PTA has been fundraising last year and this year. They have a fundraiser going on now, and they've asked if we could provide some resources from our operating budget to help them get to their goal sooner. So they had suggested language that would allow us to set up a playground trust fund, and that at the end of the year, if there were any monies available that were unspent, that we'd be able to transfer up to $50,000. When we had the conversation last, if you'll remember, back in December, there was a desire on the part of the board to to, you know, perhaps support this, but as opposed to setting up a separate fund, to just utilize the fund that's already existing. So that would be the facility fund, because that's the fund that you would use for a purpose such as this. So as the warrant article reads, you'll see that I struck out the language as we had talked about, specifying that we set up an elementary school playground expendable trust fund, and left the language and added a little more language that does the same thing, but has us, if the town approved it, put money into our facility trust fund for this purpose. So I know that the board does need to take action on these warrant articles, and we have to record a vote. And then once that has taken place, then I can update these, take the drafts off, and then we can move forward and we can move these forward to the budget committee.
Susan, one thing that I just saw, and this is just an editorial thing in Article 8, if I look at Article 6, it says the Facilities Trust Fund, and it says Facility Trust Fund.
Oh, I didn't change one. One
Yep.
should be no, yes, actually, yes. So the money from the playground would go into the facility, so
Yep.
that language is,
Yep, so just
Yeah.
just a different word.
okay.
I also just want to clarify that on Article 8 for the playground, that any repairs or maintenance that need to be made in the meantime, that's a safety issue and that should be addressed as soon as, it's allowed with weather and
Yes.
things like that.
Yes. There is some money in the Buildings and Grounds budget this year that can be tapped for any, repairs that are required.
Well, I mean, to me, and we've talked about this playground article or issue, I think, at the last 3 meetings, at least. And to me, it's inadequate, what's there. I think I'm comfortable now that there's not an immediate safety issue, that things have been taken care of. It's an issue where the equipment itself is really for their older kids, not for the younger ones. The younger ones aren't using it, but the younger kids ought to have equipment that's usable. And for that reason, I think it makes sense.
If I read correctly, also to make it more accessible to.
Correct.
Oh, ADA,
larger
yes.
numbers.
Yep.
So, because when we first built it, there was that basketball court, that's where the kindergarten kids would go. And so then, and they were never allowed to the big kids' playground until they were older. But now there's nothing really for them to play on. And there's so many of them now.
And this is a vital part of the overall education.
Play.
So those are our articles for this year.
Do we need
So
a motion?
Yeah,
Yep.
we might as well just do that while we're on them.
Yeah.
And I've read through them a couple times. If it's the board's pleasure, could we have a motion? We could approve all of them at once, or that would probably be easiest.
I'd like to
Or
approve,
if everybody wants to do that.
okay, I'd like to approve all the warrant articles for the year 2021
As presented.
as presented.
I will second that.
Is there any further discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
They're approved.
Thank you so very much.
I have, so we had another in our series of, board superintendent relationship articles, chapter 1. I gotta confess, I didn't do my homework. I've only read about half of it. I don't know, Susan, if you wanna give the thoughts that you got out of it, and maybe we could circle back. I don't know, if nobody else is chiming in.
I might have not finished it.
Should we wait till the next time?
Sure.
Sure, let's wait.
And then everyone feels prepared?
Let's
It,
wait.
it was actually, when I was on my flight over the holiday break, I read all the way up through chapter 5, and I found it to be a pretty good read, pretty easy read, so perhaps, we take a few minutes. It's not inconsistent with much of what we've read, but I really like the way it was organized, and I think you'll enjoy reading through that.
You just wait till you get to the end of chapter 1. It's the best part.
Yeah.
It is.
So you're the one who
Oh, I
read it?
thought you meant it was a.
I read it.
I did read it.
All right. So, okay, so we'll defer that maybe to the next meeting, and then the last items under discussion, T, E, and F, we've already addressed. And then, so let's move on to the action items under approval of minutes. Did it, anybody have any changes or edits to those minutes for us? You're paying with a question. What do you got? Yeah.
You were really soft, I couldn't hear you talking about it.
We're going to convene on Saturday here at 10 a.m. There won't be any further public comment. You're certainly welcome to come,
Okay,
but we'll address it then.
okay, that's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Actually, I have a question about it.
About,
Well, just, so because I haven't seen the petition yet,
neither have I.
because we just got it, so we'll have a chance to take a look at it, and
I'll
so
have
that
Penny, I can have Penny make a copy and send it out to you.
okay, so that we can discuss it on Saturday.
All right.
All right.
What about the minutes? Anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes? You're going to have to give the dates.
I motion to approve the minutes from November 26th, 2019 budget work session, November 30th, 2019 budget work session, December 3rd, 2019 budget work session, and December 19th, 2019 public minutes.
Can I ask for an amendment to that motion to separate the 19th, because I was not here and I'll need to abstain to vote.
And I will have to as well.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
I read them though.
2 abstentions on the 19th. Okay, with that change, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any further comment? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Who's got the manifest?
I do.
Not bad.
You gotta read it.
Okay, the next item is approval of the furniture bid. And as you all know, we couldn't be any more excited about getting close to the end of the building project. And this furniture bid includes furniture for the 1925 section, or 26 or 27. That's controversial what year it was. But this will enable us to be able to go forward with ordering the furniture so that when those spaces are returned back to us, that we'll be able to have the furniture ready to go. So Director Marles has presented you with the quotes and is recommending that we go with Hertz Furniture for a total of $58,265.
And this is money that's already in the budget, it's just
Some is in the budget and some is in the building project.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I accept all
Any
the-
questions?
Oh.
Nothing? Okay, if there's none, may I seek a motion to approve that, approval of the furniture bid?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 In the manifest?
Item D.
Do you want to
Got
read
it.
it?
You wanna go back?
Ratified.
Yeah, we did.
Took a vote on that.
We
Yeah.
did. Well, let's go to the manifest.
Total of all manifests for January 7th, 2020 is $1,657,308.59.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The manifest is approved. Okay, and we have some, we have two nominations and two resignations. Susan, you want to cover those?
Yes, so as you all know, Samantha Blackadere, our social worker, moved up into Maine and left us, and Caitlin Skeena is our nomination for her replacement. We're very excited about her experience. She has a number of years of experience working for the Department of Mental Health. We had quite a number of candidates, and she rose to the top. And at the recommendation of the folks that interviewed her, and Erica McNeil and Sean Pine, I'd like to move forward with her nomination. The second nomination is for Pat Valentine, who of course retired as the curriculum coordinator after many years, and she has been absolutely, I have to say, delightful, and one person that just keeps on giving. When the comments were made earlier about how so many people in the community give and give and give, and have a kind heart, and care deeply about education, Pat is one of those people. And once again, she has stepped up to take on a long-term substitute for a fourth grade teacher who is going out on maternity leave. So I would like to nominate her as the long-term sub for the next couple of months. So
Great.
thank you very much, Pat.
Thanks for Pat
Mhm.
stepping up.
I move to make a motion to accept both nominations.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. In addition, we have two resignations. Gregory Marles, the Director of Facilities for the town and the school, has resigned from his position to take a position closer to home, and his last day actually is tomorrow. He has been the clerk of the works, and that's been his primary focus for the last couple of years, and has provided a great service to the school department during this time. He will continue to stay on and provide some services from now until the end of the building project to help support Mr. Mazzoni. And so for that, we are grateful, and just wanted to give him a shout out of appreciation for all that he's done and his dedication to the community over the last couple of years to move forward with completing our building projects. So he is resigning, and the second is Mark McDonald, who is our Mandarin teacher, has been our Mandarin teacher for the last several years, was instrumental in building up that program. As you can see from his letter, he would like to pursue other opportunities after this year, although he's, we've enjoyed him as a teacher and a colleague. He does not wish to continue on as a Mandarin teacher, though he did say to me that if there was another position that he was eligible for, he would like to stay. But he just, he's on a waiver, he's been on a waiver for a number of years. And so this was the last year that he could stay on a waiver before getting his permanent certification in this area. And he's just decided that he'd like to go in a different direction. So
How is, this is kind of related, but are there a lot of Mandarin high school teachers out there?
no, there's not a lot of Mandarin teachers at any level. They can be very difficult to find, but I was told recently that UNH has some connections there that we might be able to tap into to try to help us recruit a Mandarin teacher and a Spanish teacher, for a permanent Spanish teacher for that matter. So once we have the opportunity to focus on recruiting, that will be a connection that I'll certainly make. So those are the two resignations of professional staff.
Okay, I always wonder whether we have to approve resignations. We have no choice, but let's do it anyways. May have a motion to approve the resignations of Mr. Marles and Mr. McDonald.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I would just thank both of them. And I mentioned before, Mark McDonald last year took time out of his own vacation to drive a bus full of students down to Philadelphia where they crushed it down there, and they did really well, and they had a great time. He's if you want to take a long ride in a van with somebody, it's probably him. He's good to talk to. So, and thank you, Greg. We'll have more from Greg. We're not done with him.
No,
So,
no, we're not done with Greg.
Okay, and we approved the field trip for the UN, and then, I don't know, is the sponsors here for the museum field trip to the Boston Museum of Fine Arts?
No. So the sixth grade social studies teacher, Doug Webb, would like to take our students on a field trip to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And by policy, since it's going to another state, the board has to approve it. And so he's provided us with some information that the bus would depart from the junior senior high school about 7:30. They'll have 1 hour at the Art of Ancient Egypt, a guided tour from 9:30 to 10:30. We'll spend 1 hour on a self-guided tour through the various exhibits. And then they'll get back on the bus and be back to school at about 1 o'clock. So really love to be able to support our teachers when they're providing these extended learning opportunities for our students. And so it's my recommendation to support Mr. Webb in his request for this field trip.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And
And
then,
then-
lastly,
we have 2 donations. So the Exeter Run Club would like to donate $1,000 in support of our cross-country programs at the junior senior high school. So that's $1,000 from them. And then we also have a $1,000 donation to the elementary school from an anonymous donor.
ever since I've been on the board, the Exeter Running Club's done that. It's pretty great. Thank you so much again to the Exeter Running Club and the anonymous donor. Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve both of those generous donations?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? And if there's no further business, I don't know if there's a need to go into non-public this evening.
There's not?
Okay. And does anybody else have anything else? This is one of our later meetings. Is that clock right?
Been a while, yeah.
Wow. And, okay, so motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. We're
Aye.
adjourned at 9:30. Thank you.
Yes, did you guys?